Within each threat network, a center of gravity exists from which the adversary derives his moral or physical strength. This center of gravity can be viewed as a set of characteristics, capabilities, and sources of power which typically manifest in the form of a key element of the threat network that is able to strike effective lethal or non-lethal blows such as IED attacks, ambushes, intimidation, bribery, and information operations. And just like our own military commanders protecting their friendly centers of gravity, the adversary is very protective of their own. But a threat network must perform to be successful. In other words, it must expose itself and potentially become vulnerable to attack. You may not be able to see the network, but you know there are certain functions that every network must perform in order to successfully operate. Those functions are called critical capabilities. Nested within each critical capability are supporting critical requirements. Supporting critical requirements are similar to what the U.S. Army calls collective tasks. Those tasks that support a critical wartime mission or a means for a critical capability to be fully functional. In the case of the insurgent's critical capability, conduct IED operations, the supporting critical requirements include procurement, manufacture, distribution, storage, recon and surveillance, and employment. Knowing the critical requirements are helpful, but identifying and understanding the specific activities, the specific things associated with those requirements is key. Think of these activities as individual tasks that must occur in order to accomplish the critical requirements. So, some specific activities related to the critical capability of conduct IED operations and the supporting critical requirements could include purchasing IED materials from a local bazaar, exchanging or transferring money, manufacturing ammonium nitrate homemade explosives, distributing IED components and explosives to multiple local cache sites, and assembling an IED. If we determine that those activities are detectable, actionable, and exploitable, they become vulnerabilities. Further, if we determine that a particular vulnerability or set of vulnerabilities, which if successfully appropriately addressed or targeted, would cause a decisive or significant effect on the center of gravity, then that vulnerability or set of vulnerabilities becomes a critical vulnerability. Those critical vulnerabilities are things we can detect, for example, observe or measure. Once the critical vulnerabilities have been revealed, we can develop the associated indicators or observables, things we can see, and signatures, things we can measure, of those activities so that successful collection on and disruption of the enemy can occur. In developing the indicators, it is helpful to consider the people, places, processes, and materials that are involved in the activity. For analysis, particularly in a time-constrained environment, it may not be necessary to develop all the associated critical capabilities, supporting critical requirements, specific activities, and indicators. Staffs that have already determined the insurgent's vulnerabilities within the capabilities, requirements, and activities framework can narrow their focus to those activities that can be observed or measured with their available collection capabilities.